When Jacob and Kathy went back to the field, the 400-meter hurdle race had just begun. They quickly made their way to the spectator stands to watch the race. There was a 2-hour break for lunch, but only a few students went to the cafeteria. Most of them had brought food and were munching on cookies and sandwiches, getting their slogans ready or chatting as they watched the race. Sam, Jacob's other roommates, and friends were surprised and excited to see Jacob and Kathy walk back together. Nobody could have ever predicted that Jacob would get so close to a girl, let alone Kathy, because he always seemed so shy and was an introvert. "If everything goes smoothly, Jacob will finally have a girlfriend in college," said Sam, and the rest nodded in agreement. "Hey, I remember something. As freshmen, you had said that if Jacob could get a girlfriend within the 4 years of university, you would give us $100 each." One of the roommates reminded Sam. Not in his wildest dreams did Sam think that Jacob would find a girlfriend, but he was starting to panic now. It wasn't in his character to break promises, but $200 was a lot of money for an undergrad student. Therefore, he thought for a while and said, "How about we have another bet? This time, we will bet on the rank Jacob could get in this race." The guys around them also got excited and ready to join in on the bet when they heard Sam's suggestion. "This is interesting. Let's do this." "Great. The bet is open," Sam shouted excitedly while picking up paper and a pen from the ground and began writing down and recording the bets. "So the ratios will be like this. You'll win back the equal amount if you vote for the last place, double if you bet on the second last place, and you'll get 20 times the money if you bet that Jacob will win the first rank in this race." Sam explained the rules to everyone, posing as the bookie. Others got excited as soon as Sam started placing the bet. "I bet $30 on Jacob getting the last place. I bet 20 on Jacob getting the second last place. I'll bet on the second last place too. He can't be so bad. I mean, he has been practicing, right? I bet $5 on him getting the last place. $5 profit is still profit." As they made bets in full swing, Jacob and Kathy were sitting in their old spots enjoying the race. They were out of earshot and were oblivious to what the guys were doing. Jacob couldn't focus on what Kathy was saying because he was concerned about Sophie. She had skipped school for him, and he would feel very guilty if she got into trouble because of it. However, he couldn't do anything about it until he found out what happened between her and Susan, and so he tried hard to focus on the ongoing race. Following the 400-meter hurdle, the women's races began. Relay races, long-distance races, and the long jump. Loud cheering resonated once again as the players took the field. Cheerleaders waved their pom-poms, and the guys held up the slogans to cheer for their class athlete, their girlfriend, or even their crushes. Suddenly, there was a lot of enthusiasm in the crowd. Seeing Jacob stare at the track with a keen interest and unaware of what was going on in his mind, Kathy asked him, "There are so many pretty girls at the university, and you still don't have a girlfriend?" She was half teasing and half hoping for him to clear up her confusion. "There is a pretty girl in my class. Is it necessary for me to find one somewhere else?" Jacob said casually, without realizing what he had insinuated unknowingly. Kathy froze for a moment. Then she looked at the calm expression on Jacob's face as she tried to determine the meaning of his comment. She would have assumed that he was talking about her, but she knew Jacob by now, and he could have said that as a compliment. She thought for a while and decided to stop beating around the bush. "Do you have a girlfriend?" Jacob didn't hear Kathy's question and kept staring at the racetrack. Kathy thought that he was checking out the women players and sat back in her seat. She was disappointed. She had planned on taking the opportunity to ask Jacob more about Susan. The confusion was bothering her. She needed to know if she had a real shot with Jacob. She also didn't want to come between two people who were about to be married. She had a hard time swallowing the fact that Susan was Jacob's girlfriend, but that didn't mean that she would pry into his life. She decided not to ask him any more questions. Jacob was completely lost in watching the race when someone tapped his shoulder. He turned around and saw Sophie standing behind him. He didn't know when she came back. She was staring at him with a cross expression and one hand on her waist. He moved a bit to the left, leaving some space for her to sit. He asked, "How did it go with Susan?" "Not that good, though you don't need to worry about that. What you do need to worry about is picking up your jaw and stop drooling all over the floor, Sophie said in a jealous tone and rolled her eyes at him. She, too, had seen him staring hard at the racetrack. Jacob immediately straightened up as he heard her remark and even checked if he was actually drooling. He realized that he was acting like a love-struck teenager, sitting between two beautiful girls and checking out others. Sophie was already annoyed at him being friends with Kathy. He didn't need her to get angrier. Thinking about Kathy, Jacob realized that he was so lost in thought about Sophie's meeting with Susan that he didn't even bother to hear anything that she had said. However, he was too embarrassed to ask her again. While other guys were genuinely checking out the female players on the track, he was actually concerned about Sophie. Obviously, Jacob wasn't going to explain this to his fiancée. He felt elated to hear the jealousy in her voice, but this wasn't the time to think about that. He pretended to look serious. He tried to say something, but couldn't come up with anything. He really would have liked to know what Susan and Sophie talked about, but he couldn't ask because Kathy was there. So he stayed silent and focused on the track, more alert this time. The next event will be the 1,500-meter race for men. All participants, please report to the field and get ready for the race, said the announcer. All the best, Jacob. Just give it your best. Kathy stood up with Jacob as he got ready to walk down the stands. Thank you, replied Jacob. Kathy grabbed his hand and took out a number tag from her bag. Here, I'll put it on. She stood up and was going to put it on Jacob's chest, but she seemed to have remembered something. She ended up handing the tag to Jacob. Put it on yourself, she said. Jacob nodded, pulled off the plastic, and stuck the tag with the number 8 onto his chest. All participants, please enter the field. The announcement continued on and on for a few times. All of a sudden, Jacob felt a bit nervous. Kathy gave him an encouraging smile and a thumbs up. Jacob smiled back at her as he took a deep breath and walked down the spectator stand. All the best. I know you'll win, Sophie said confidently. Jacob stopped for a moment and looked right into Sophie's eyes. He could see that she actually believed that he could win. She was the only one who did. He gave her a small smile and went forward with newfound confidence. He couldn't disappoint Sophie. He took his position, which was unfortunately at the outermost track on the field. It could prove disadvantageous in a long-distance race like this. Michael, dressed in golden sportswear, was doing some stretches. He didn't even have a number tag on him. Then he walked towards Jacob. Jacob took a look at him. He thought that Michael would make another snarky comment, but he passed by him without saying a word. His position was on the second-most outer track. He was only half a meter away from Jacob. Get into position! The coach gave his command. All the participants got ready and took a running stance. Sophomore, today you'll understand the difference between us, Michael said to Jacob. Jacob looked over his shoulder slightly and saw Michael's golden running shoes and tight leg muscles. He looked ahead without a word and took a deep breath. Ready, set, go! The starting pistol was fired.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.